Do we have scoffers today? Scoffing at the biblical account of creation? Scoffing at the biblical record of the flood? Notice it says they deliberately forget. Deliberately. He didn't say they were unaware and were never informed. They didn't have any evidence upon which to know. No, the evidence is, understand, when it comes to an intelligent design, created planet with life, or the godless origins, they all know, and they deliberately reject it. In order to have life, it requires three elements. Requires physical matter, and this is in any form that we know about life. Physical matter, energy, and coded information found in the DNA. Not just in the DNA molecules. DNA molecules are like letters in the alphabet. All of the theories you'll read in all of the godless journals will talk about how primordial soup, sparks of energy, this, that, or the other, formed the molecules. Okay, give them the molecules. You got the molecules. That's still up for debate. But having letters of the alphabet is not the same thing as having the Encyclopedia Britannica. Organizing those letters so that you code for complex information is impossible without an intelligence, and they all know it. And they all deliberately reject it. Now understand what happens in the mind. When truth is presented, you understand it, but it's not politically correct. You will lose your funding. You won't get your articles published. You will lose your position at university. The system is rigged against you to be honest, so you have to be dishonest. You have to deliberately reject. The mind becomes damaged. You become less capable of discerning. You become a scientist, and we all want to rely on science. We want to follow the thought leaders. But they're damaging their minds by rejecting evidence and truth, and they become less capable of actually discerning. We see this. Just watch what's happened this last year with the so-called science over the whole COVID virus. You will see many people who are out there touting this, that, or the other evidence that have no real discernment skills. They deliberately forget. By the same word, the present heavens and earth are reserved for fire, being kept for the day of judgment and the destruction of ungodly men. Why? Why will it be reserved for fire? What does this mean? When you hear this, what law lens do you use? Human law lens? Judgment under human law lens means judicial review and verdict. Some external authority examining the evidence and making a ruling. If you were very, very sick and you ended up in an emergency room and you were examined very carefully by a doctor who maybe even took MRI scans to look at the deepest recesses of your being, would you want him to examine all that evidence and make a judgment? We call it a diagnosis. Yes, a judgment. Judgment under design law is accurately diagnosing the condition of what is. And God accurately diagnoses the condition of each heart. The question is, what causes the condition of each heart to be what it is? God freely offers remedies so that you can have a new heart and right spirit. You can be reborn. You can have the heart circumcised. He offers it to you. What decides whether somebody actually gets a new heart and right spirit or whether they harden their heart? Who decides that? Is it the judge?
They do. What choices?
That's right. God diagnoses what is, but who decides what is the person. The human judicial system doesn't work that way. The judge doesn't decide what is. Excuse me, the people don't decide, the judge does. So the judge makes a ruling, and if he rules it, that's legally what happens. So innocents are let off or convicted and put in jail. Guilty people are let go in human justice system. And notice what happens when Paul says about what happens. Why do the wicked perish in the end? In 2 Thessalonians 2, starting verse 11. For they perish because they refuse the truth and so be saved. They refuse the truth. And it says that God gave them over to strong delusion to believe a lie. I've heard preachers say, well, see, if you don't accept the truth, God will make you delusional. Because the Bible says he'll give them over to strong delusion. Or in this version, it says God sends them powerful delusions. See, God makes people delusional. Is that how it works?
No.
What happens to your mind if you reject truth on any subject matter? It doesn't matter what the subject is. We go out on a clear day and we look up at the sky and it's blue, and I say, that's a beautiful blue sky. Maybe we get out a light wavelength meter, and we measure the refracted light, and we can give you the exact nanometer wavelength of that blue that's coming back to us. And I can give that to you as information. And I tell you, that's blue with this wavelength. You're still free to reject it, aren't you? I don't believe that. No way. I reject that. You can. But if you reject that, what's the only thing for your mind left to settle on? A lie. That's why they're given over. If you reject truth, your mind will believe something else, but everything else is a lie. And if you practice that process over time, you become delusional, a mass delusion. And this is what's happening in the world today. I see it all over the place. People are becoming less and less capable of figuring or seeing the difference between actual truth and falsehood. Belief is no longer your belief. Here's a truth. You have the power to decide what you believe. God has given you that power. Let every person be fully persuaded in their own mind. Romans 14:5. But that's replaced with a lie. Well, that's your truth. This is my truth. It's not that's your belief and this is my belief. It's relabeled as truth. All beliefs are now truths. That's actually an untruth. But that's the common view today. Is it not? And then when you believe that, then people start believing things and call things that are completely contradictory to reality truths. And people then have their minds decoupled from any measurable objectives, and life becomes very anxiety-provoking, very frightening. We don't know where to step. We don't know what decisions to make. And because we can't predict anything anymore because there's no objective truth. So what do we need to do to feel safe? We need somebody in authority to tell us. And so people stop thinking, they stop reasoning, they stop weighing evidence, they stop looking for answers. They look to an authority figure. Somebody that they will trust to get it right for them. This is what we see happening in society today. People becoming less and less capable because they're being propagandized. Like, instead of your belief and my belief, that's your truth, here's my truth. My truth is, this is what some people are saying, my truth is there's no male and female. Gender is just something you feel inside. Understand, every species on earth has male and female. And we see it everywhere we look, and we all know it. And we can't reproduce without a male and a female. And we all know it. But that's bigoted. That's sexist. That's intolerant. That's cruel. How could you say such a thing, Dr. Jennings? In California, there's a bill before the Assembly right now that if it's passed, it's pending, if it's passed, will fine stores $1,000 if they have a boys section and a girls section in the clothing department or the toy department. Because there is no boys and girls. There's no male and female. We all know there's no male and female, right? No, we don't. But many people are being told, if you actually think there's male and female, you're closed-minded. You're unenlightened. You're uneducated. You're bigoted. You're a religionist. You're critical. You're unkind. You're cruel. Don't you understand there are people who have gender confusion? Yes, there are. There are people who have gender confusion. And if you should say that there's boys and girls, it hurts their feelings. Don't you love them enough to go along with this lie that there isn't one? And minds become damaged. Critical reasoning is undermined. Just tell us, Your Supreme Excellency, what's the new law that our Congress needs to pass that I can obey? It leads to craziness, like the Biden administration's ruling that transgendered male to female transgendered athletes can compete in women's sports for women's scholarships in college. Now you understand that there are actually biological differences that happened at puberty. When testosterone hits, males grow taller, their muscles grow denser, their bones grow denser. They actually have larger heart and lung capacity, better oxygen carrying capacity. And all of that physiological benefit maintains after they lower their testosterone levels with a sex reassignment surgery. But that would be objective truth and facts, and we don't live in a land of objective truth and facts anymore. We live in a land, well, that's your truth. My truth is they're just equal. No, they're not. Are you going to think? Are you going to reason? Are you going to surrender your thinking to others?